Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the South African Dental Association Dental and Oral Health Congress and Exhibition. Now, if any of you, particularly those of you that come from outside of South Africa, thought twerking was created by Nicki Minaj, you've seen differently today. It originated from South Africa. My name is Casey Makuele. I'm the CEO of the South African Dental Association, and we are very excited to have you all here. We have started a little bit late, so we're going to catch on time. So just bear with me as we go along. Thank you very much. We are holding this great event in the KZN province of South Africa for our visitors. This is one of the 9 provinces that we have. So I'm going to try and do a little bit of greetings in a few languages because we've got people, and maybe I should welcome, I've seen a contingency from Botswana. Are you here, Botswana? That's it. Let's welcome Botswana. I have spoken to a few doctors and few health providers from Zambia. Are you here? I remember speaking to 1 or 2 dentists from Zimbabwe. Are you here? They're not here. And I spoke to a few from Namibia yesterday. Are you here? From South Africa? From Germany? Sanibonani. You must respond. Sanibonani. Absheni. Dimacheroni. Dumelang. Let me see. Is there hello? Hello. Guten Morgen. That was like so. Did I just measure your language when I said Guten Morgen? Okay. Is it perfect? Then can I get a real feedback? Guten Morgen. Yeah, that's much better. Thank you very much. Guys, welcome. So we are going to do quite a few things today. The first thing that we would like to do, we are going to call upon our speakers, and I'm going to call is Bruce sorted out? Okay, I think there's a mic issue. He's ready. Okay. Can I have the 2 of you up stage? That is Bruce Fordyce, ladies and gentlemen. We all know him. And we've got Dr. Mark Bowers, who is the chairperson of the Scientific Advisory Committee of SADA. So he's the one at the moment with his committee that is responsible for putting together the clinical program that we see today. Let's welcome him on stage. Okay.
Is there a microphone? I don't need it. So I'm very proud, I have to say, to be a dentist and to be a part of a truly amazing profession. Thank you very much. I'd like everyone at the back to hear. So if I look back and you can see that actually I'm not the youngest dentist here, that I think about why it is that I've had such a rewarding, successful career. And the one thing that keeps popping up is education. And I have to be honest, one thing SADA is brilliant at is education. And it's not just this flagship event that we're witnessing today, but it's all the meetings that are put on through all the 9 provinces throughout the year that really uplift our profession and make a real difference to our patients that we treat back in our practices. As scientific chairman, I'd just like to thank everyone who was part of the committee and the companies and everyone who's facilitated the possibility of having a truly amazing group of international superstars and local dentists to present to us over these last 3 days, or these 3 days. That was you. And I think that all I can say is that on Monday we will definitely return to our workplaces, wherever that might be, feeling really enriched and excited that we belong to this truly amazing profession. So with that, I declare that this main podium is now open for the next 2 days. So thank you very much, Casey, for that opportunity.
Thank you. Thank
We're
you.
really privileged.
What I would like to do at this stage, is to call upon our international speakers. We want to give them some gifts so that they can remember this Congress before they go home. And Marlies will direct you up the stage. You'll just come up, get a gift, come this way, and go back to your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our speakers. And the local speakers. I do apologize. And the local speakers. You're going to just hand them one of these, each of them as a gift. And when it can go, just this one. This is to make sure that you remember that South Africa is a good place to be, and hopefully to see you next time. And as you receive, you may go and sit down.
I think you need to help me.
Let me help you.
Thank you, Casey.
Welcome. Just before. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, yesterday when I was listening to our speaker who was giving us so much to laugh at, I realized that in actual fact in South Africa I'm the best comedian, but I don't want to show that. Prof. Osman, I am the best comedian. You must agree with me. But let me tell you a joke. If you allow me, just one joke. I've told it before, but I think it's a good place to tell. So I am on the other side. I am a minister of the Word of God, so what you will call a priest or a pastor or a preacher. So I'm going to use the joke at church. It's something that I've told before. So there was this lady, okay? The lady is not here, but somewhere. She was married to this gentleman who was a dentist for about 50 years. So that's a very... How many of you are married for 50 years? 50 plus. Oh, only Prof. Go. Okay, so you and I are at the same age because I'm married for about 53 now. So they were married for 50 years. Married. Really married.
Today, 54.
That's it. Now, every single morning, the wife who used to go to, so the gentleman was a dentist and also he was a pastor, and we have some of you who are dentists and pastors in here. So the wife every morning left and went to school. She was a teacher, and every single day, she took a portrait of the husband and she put it in her bag every single day. Now, you understand if you're a guy that when you buy your wife shoes, she always asks you where is the matching handbag. So this person possibly had like 700 handbags. One day, 'cause it's been bothering him, one day this preacher and a dentist decided to ask their wife, but why every single day when you go to school, you put my portrait in your bag? And the first thing that she said to him was, because every single day when I look at that portrait, I'm inspired. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you can inspire your wife, you have reached heaven. You can inspire your church and still fail to inspire your wife. But if you can inspire your wife, paradise. Then she continued. She said, why? Because every single day when I'm at work, if I face any challenges of any nature, for the 50 years that I've been married with you, I pull that portrait out and I look at it and I go like, there can never be a challenge as big as this one. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask our convener to please introduce the speaker of this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. So I think Bruce needs very little introduction. We all know what an absolute star he is, and I think that winning the Comrades 9 times, which is obviously still a record and I believe will never be broken, is truly exceptional, of which 8 were consecutive victories. And the one statistic that I found amazing also is that he held the 50-mile record, which was set in 1983 and was only broken this year. So well done on that.
Yeah, I'm bitter.
And as he put it, he was also, in my opinion, a visionary because in his first victory, he wore a black armband. And I think took a lot of strain for that. But in his own words, he put it that he put the comrade back in the Comrades Marathon, which was truly apt. So well done on that, I have to say. And the last thing I'm going to say is that he doesn't know it, but actually our paths have crossed. He's looking a little bit nervous now, but back on the 31st of May 1983 at 6 a.m., we were actually equal. We were on the line together. We stood there. And you might recognize one of these little things.
Fantastic.
And anyway, the gun went, and I think 5.5 or 5 hours something later, Bruce had finished, and I was just only halfway. And he beat me in that year by 3,124 places. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Bruce. Thank you very much for being part of it.
Thank you.
Just one last thing. Could you come up, please? We would like to just open the ceremony, a traditional, the two of you, please. You can grab one each. There we go. There we go.
Oh, okay.
There we are.
Fantastic.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I know nearly wasn't here. There are 3 people in the audience who were with me because we were panic-stricken because Maralise is a really tough program driver, and we were in the Hilton Hotel, and the lift would not come. Why? Because everybody was getting out at the restaurant, and we waited and we waited and we waited. So we decided, no, it's only 2 flights of stairs. Let's go. And so it even directs you in event of fire down here, at the very bottom is a sealed, locked door. And there we were. If there had been a fire, the 4 of us would have been huddled together, immolated, died of inhalation of smoke together, and they would have said, shame, the poor people. Didn't they see the sign? In event of fire, take the lift. So we nearly didn't make it. And so what I'm going to do is, and you don't have to panic, I know we're behind, but I've got my talk in front of me. I'm going to talk about your theme of from start to finish. back to basics, try and relate it a little bit to dentistry. But I hope obviously I'm going to do something that I enjoy doing quite a lot, and that's really just stand up here for a while and talk about myself, because that introduction, Mark, was absolutely hopeless. I sent through a long and glowing CV, and he ignored it. I mean, the 1981 Comrades Black Armband. We were protesting about the fact that the Comrades Marathon, to its eternal shame and embarrassment, had associated itself with 20 years of apartheid rule. So those of us who wanted to run but wanted to show our displeasure, we wore armbands. I was covered in tomatoes and eggs by the time I finished. But I was a very unhappy winner of my first Comrades. But I sent through this long, glowing CV, and I'd highlighted various things that I wanted Mark to mention. And nothing. And in particular, I had highlighted in orange, Mark, I had sent it, maybe Marilise never got it to, I had highlighted in orange with stars, that on the now discredited, and notice I'm using the word discredited, SABC list. So some of you may recall a few years ago, the SABC in its wisdom, and I think that's an oxymoron, because I don't think you can have the words SABC and wisdom together in one sentence. They're still screaming at me for my license fee, and had decided to have a competition to vote for the top 100 South Africans of all time. And then they thought it would be a great idea, because obviously Madiba would win, but who would the other 99 be? Top greatest contributing South Africans of all time. So they thought it would be absolutely fantastic, but it was a complete catastrophe, because the viewership became confused about the definition of great and contributing. And so some really dodgy characters hit this list of the top 100 South Africans. And I'll go down the kind of descending order of depravity, but essentially kind of thieves, murderers, pedophiles, and worse than any of those actors and actresses who appear in those soap operas that you watch. He's never going to marry her. Anyway, but so you watch it glued, okay? But I'm not going to let that stand in the way of my thunder, since Mark didn't mention it. On the list of the top 100 South Africans, I came 64th. Round of applause. Yeah. 23 places behind Steve Hofmeyer. 9 places behind Eugene Blanche. Interesting. Yeah. And actually quite interesting, because he teases me all the time. He teases me, this is a few years ago. 2 places behind Cyril Ramaphosa. Yeah, okay, just so you know. And so I'm going to talk about your thing, but before I do that, I also have to start off with a little bit of confession, because it happened here. That in all honesty, in terms of the South African long-distance running scene, thank you, Mark, actually, I'm only joking about that introduction. I'm nowhere near the person who should speak to you. I'm not the most talented, the best. I just happen to have been really good at this ridiculous race called Comrades, but I would swap every single one of my 9 Comrades wins for Josiah Tugwani's gold medal at the Olympics. That is the epitome. To run the last lap of the Olympic Stadium and win that thing. Going back to ancient Greece 2,500 years ago. Devil, will you have my soul? I sold that a few times in my time. But anyway, I am your speaker, and I suppose the reason that I'm here is that I have managed to get my face on that little box, the telly, a lot. And I was teasing Joel Stransky the other day, because I said, Joel, you had 3 seconds of fame, but Ewers got the ball out the back of the scrum, he threw it to you, and you kicked it over the post, and we won the World Cup. That was it. Everyone saw you doing this as you realized it was going over, and we were all doing that as well. That was it, Chan. I get 5.5 hours of coverage leading the Comrades. I said, I'm much more famous than you, Joel. And so this point was driven home to me rather emphatically in a shop in Durban. That's what I'm telling you. So I was in the shop, and I was browsing, and this man came up to me, and he said, where do I know you from? I know you from somewhere, Chan. And he had this puzzled, quizzical look on his face, and he was trying to work out who I was, and he walked off down the aisle of the shop away from me still. And then suddenly I saw this light bulb illuminate above. He said, he'd worked out who I was, and he came rushing back down the aisle of the shop towards me, and he came right up to me and said, I've got it, I know who you are. You're Nas Botha, hey. 9 places below me on the list, by the way. I think I should. And so I'm going to... It sounds trivial, but I'm going to congratulate all of you from start to finish. None of us would be here if we hadn't put in those 2 words, hard work. Hard work, dedication, commitment. Only you know your examinations, the hard work, the failures, the setbacks, all that stuff to get there. And so I pay tribute to all of you. The start was that you had to actually put in that hard work to be here today, to be one of these great people, and I'll talk a little bit later on about leadership. And I said I was going to talk about myself, and I am, just to illustrate the point. Oh, there are my glasses. I know where they are. And I am going to use that because in order to win a race like the Comrades Marathon, essentially my first run was June the 17th, 1976. It's a significant date because it's one day after June the 16th, 1976. And I was a passionate Vitsi who was caught up going to support the pupils in Soweto. And we got smashed to pieces by the railway police. And I was trying to grab some kind of control of my destiny. And actually, to be brutally honest with you, my girlfriend had just broken up with me. So there was quite a lot of suppressed libido. And I decided to start running. And essentially, if you want to win the Comrades Marathon, you have to do what I did, which is 160 to 240 kilometers of running a week. Week in, week out, day in, day out, for 5 years. It took me 5 years to win my first Comrades. And that's an incredible amount of hard work, okay? So I pay tribute to all of you. And I'm also going to be quite honest with you as well, that really, if you want to win the Comrades Marathon, you have to do what I do, which is to choose your parents correctly. This is basically it. And I met the Queen. And I don't mean Peter Dirk Ace or Freddie Mercury. I met the Queen. And you don't believe me, but I promise you this is true. Arrived in my postbox, when the Postal Service still worked, arrived in my postbox a letter from the High Commissioner of the United Kingdom to me, with sealing wax on it. The Queen's seal. Obviously, she doesn't do it, but her minions send out hundreds of these things, and there it is. And you open it up, it breaks when you open it. It's spectacular. And the language is so fabulous. I love this stuff. So from the High Commissioner, it says, I am commanded by Her Majesty the Queen to invite you to a reception. Please RSVP. Well, obviously, you're not going to say, oh, I'm busy. I was going to watch Seven Alarm that night. So obviously, you're going to go, and RSVP, and you're going to go. And 500 people were invited. The Queen was there at High Commission. Well, it turned out to be one of the most expensive days of my life because I had to get new shoes and a suit and everything because you've got to go. My wife had to get a new dress. I told her, Jill, the Queen has never seen any of your dresses. She said, that doesn't matter. I need a new dress. And so we went. And then you sent a list of instructions of what is going to happen should you meet the Queen. And it's quite interesting. You have to call her the first time Your Majesty. Thereafter, it becomes too cumbersome to say Your Majesty, should you be in a conversation. So you call her ma'am to rhyme with jam, not mom. Mom is the owner of a brothel, I found out. So and you can never touch the Queen, never ever touch her, and you can never turn your back on her. You have to walk away backwards. Really, you have to walk away backwards, and you can never ask her a question. She will ask the questions. Yeah, that's it. And should she not be introduced to you, she will ask you one of two questions, which is, have you come far? Which doesn't mean, have you raised yourself from the gutter, you drunken slob, to be here. It means, have you driven up from Cape Town? Or what do you do? That's what she's going to ask you. So there we are. We're all milling around, 500 of us, and they paint two white lines on the carpet where the Queen is going to walk, tram lines. That's where she is going to walk. And no Springbok All Black scrum has ever gone even close to the scrum that occurs to be on that white line so that you can get a photograph meeting the Queen. You've got no idea. And there's all of Johannesburg's most important people. And she arrives, the string quartet plays the national anthem, British national anthem, God Save the Queen, one of the shortest in the world, unlike ours, which goes on for hours. And then she arrives, and she walks, the curtains draw, and there's the Queen. And there's no mistaking her. She looks exactly like the Queen. And she's got a tiara on, a little coronet, not the crown jewels, which are most of our diamonds, by the way. But she walks in, and there's the Queen. And she's never going to meet me because the High Commissioner is introducing her to important captains of industry who are spending billions with Britain, not a lowly sportsman. But it just happened that as she was opposite me, the High Commissioner was looking for somebody important and abandoned her for a second. And so she turned around, and our eyes locked, mainly because we're the same height. Okay, so the Queen, the same height. And so the Queen walked right up to me, and said, "So, what do you do, Mr. Fordyce?" She started the conversation. "Oh, you got your name, sir." And so we started this conversation. The longest conversation of anyone in that room that night. I'm so proud of it. But rivers of cold sweat were pouring down my back. Because this is the world's most powerful woman. She has seen 17 US presidents, 352 British prime ministers, because they change every week. And she's lived through them all. And so here you make one mistake and you call her mom when it should be, just your head will be on a spike in Balmoral and your decaying corpse will be in a wire cage at Windsor Castle as an example to the Commonwealth of what happens if you make a mistake in front of the Queen. So no, we were doing really well. And so it's been a long story just to illustrate a short point, but eventually said to me, "Oh, Mr. Fordyce, I hope you'll forgive me, but I always thought that marathon runners had to be big and powerful and strong, and you appear to be anything but." And I said, "No, Your Majesty, you've got to be just like me. Strong legs, great heart, great lungs, and no brain cells." So a really stupid thing to do. And she said, "Yes, it is a very silly thing to do. Philip, it's all the way from Windsor Castle to it." And so you have to choose your parents correctly. Okay, so. And then but you guys and girls don't. You just had to choose your calling correctly. And so, as a tribute, just the hard work that's involved, it would be impossible, and I think we all agree, to achieve anything great, to be where you are now, without great teamwork. And people would say, "Well, Bruce, who are you to talk to us about teamwork? Because you come from an individual sport, marathon runners." I'm with an adult audience here, but marathon runners have that bumper sticker that says on the back, "Marathon runners do it on their own." We don't. We actually keep it up longer, but that's a separate discussion. I've had a few. But in fact, even our sport is incredibly team-driven, and I would never have been able to win a single comrades without the people I train with. 160 Ks a week. You've got to run with mates. And then on the day of the race, we have what we call our seconds. Those are the people who bring us our drinks, supply us with information, tell us what's going on in the race. Without them, I would never have won. And I'm sure you all know the teamwork. That's why you're all here. That's what it's all about. But part of teamwork is also leadership. And being a leader is something that every single one of us in this room has been and is at times. The leader of your own practice, the leader of your field of expertise, whatever it may be. So every single one of us at times is a member of a team, but also a leader. And if I can just dwell on that theme and then I'll take you through the rest of my talk so you don't have to panic. But in case you're thinking, how long is it going to go on for? But teamwork and leadership absolutely blended together and inseparable. And leadership is something that in South Africa, in many ways, we're sadly missing at this stage. We desperately need great leaders to take us through to, I think, the wonderful future that should be in front of us. And leadership is something that so many people envy, you see, because what they see is the perks that come with it. They see the wonderful things that come with it. That is status, possibly money. Not in my world. Status, fame, whatever. In the world of long-distance running, prize money. That is a bitter subject for those of us who were winning in the 1980s. Nothing. Not even a cent. Gerda Steyn won comrades this year, 2 million rand. But I'm not upset. I'm not bitter. But times 9, and if you break the record, you get another 1 million rand. Times 5. Wait. The other day, because it's coming up, the anniversary's coming up, I won the Gerald Fox Johannesburg Zoo Lake 10K. I won it. I need to point out, I didn't actually break the tape. That had been done several minutes earlier by a faster, thinner, younger guy than me. But when I crossed the line, exhausted, one of the officials said, Fordyce, just stay behind because we think you've won the over 50s master section. 100 rand. 100 rand. It came in an envelope. It said first master. It was those. I don't want to I just looked at this note. Prize money. After all these years, look, my entry fee was 50 rand. And then on my way out, I bought a burrie roll because I was starving, 25 rand. And because of Tim Noakes, I had to throw the bread away. Here's my sensible bit. I've had to introduce Tim 3 times at 3 different talks. Some of you are going to hate me. He is right. He is 100% right, and he's going to put most of you out of business because you'll have nobody coming with dental caries. We are hunter-gatherers. We are hunter-gatherers. There were no Chelsea buns when we were born and our digestive systems evolved. Nothing. No chocolates, no sugar, but every now and again, in return for 200 bee stings, a little honey that you stole. And yet our poor, overworked pancreases have to deal with a thing, the most horrific thing that ever happened to humankind. It's called agriculture. And because of wheat, barley, maize, they domesticated us. Those plants domesticated us and basically created the health issues that we have. So I don't want to sound like evangelical, but he's right. What UCT did to him, his alma mater, is a disgrace, absolute disgrace. And those scientists, he was academically bullied, and he will be proved to be right, and he is already one of the greatest scientists South Africa has ever produced. And I get passionate about it because he changed my life. I was 12 kgs heavier. I was running every single day. You cannot outrun a bad diet. Changed my life, that man. I absolutely adore him, and he's right. But anyway, so Tim, because of him, I had to throw. So going back to my original point. So prize money, all those things. So everybody sees the status. They envy that. But what they don't see is what comes with that for all of us as leaders. What comes with that? What comes with that is pressure, loneliness, mistakes that you make. Sometimes you don't sleep at night because you think, oh, what did I do? That's being a leader. The wind blows colder in front, and I can tell you there is no colder wind than to lead the Comrades Marathon. It is terrifying. And so I'm going to go back to the last Comrades that I won, just to illustrate the point. And fittingly, I am actually, what Mark again neglected to say in his introduction, I'm actually an archaeologist. And I taught the subject at Wits University, South Africa's finest university. And I taught the subject archaeology. And then, unfortunately, sport interfered, and my professor of archaeology, David Lewis Williams, who's one of the world's great experts on Bushman rock art, said to me, "Go, Fordyce, fame and money appear to be your spurs." There was no money. Fame I can do. So I went that way, but it's fitting that I'm an archaeologist because in order to go back to the last Comrades that I won, it's so long ago that many of you were not born who are here in this audience, and they used to write the results in those days in hieroglyphics. That's how far back, long ago. It was actually 1990. And I was never going to win the race. I was always in second place. I was trying to catch up with the race leader. And it was an up run, 1990, so you have to go. I love being in Durban because I don't have to explain it, but you've got to go up Polly Shorts, that huge, monstrous hill at the end of Comrades. After 80 Ks, it's 1.8 kilometers long with all these deceptive bends. It's horrific. If you're very lucky when you get there, you still have 2 toenails. The others are gone. Anyway, you've got to go. Nobody nibbles marathon runners' toes. You know, in passionate moments. Nobody touches it because our toes are revolting. They're just bits and pieces of nail. And so you've got to go up this monstrous hill. And it's a tiny piece of Comrades trivia, and it nearly changed this year. But so far, in the almost 100 years that the Comrades has been run, in the up direction, the man and the woman, notice how I cleverly use mountaineering terminology to illustrate my point, the man and the woman who have summited Polly Shorts first have never, ever been caught. And this year, Edward Matibe was 20 seconds ahead when he went over the top of Polly's. I cannot believe that nightmare. But in 1990, I caught up with the race leader at the top of Polly Shorts. And I'm not going to give you his name, because I don't think it's fair to belittle an opponent when he's not there to give his version of the story. That's not sporting. But all right, it's Mark Page, and I'll give you... And only because for me, he's gone and done the unthinkable. He's traded a lion and an elephant for a wallaby and a wombat. I've been a guest speaker in Australia. I have the most amazing hospitality. I love the country. But not one part of me ever wants to leave this beautiful place. I absolutely adore South Africa. I'm encouraging my children, my 2 boys, I'm encouraging them, go overseas, learn, expand, grow, but come home and contribute to this place. And so the other thing that I did, the Latin for matric. Can you believe it? We don't have Latin anymore. Churchill said, if you don't have Latin in your education, you're not educated. I've got Latin. And so one of the great Roman senators, Cato the Elder, used to finish every single one of his speeches with the words Carthago delendo est, which means, and furthermore, Carthage must be destroyed. And that was because Carthage was their great enemy. They had a mythical queen called Dido, who some people think is a rock singer, but actually they had, and they had to destroy the Carthaginians in order to control the Mediterranean. So every speech he ever gave was Carthago delendo est at the end, whether he was discussing the sewers in Rome, the price of corn, the quality of the slaves coming from Egypt. He always finished with Carthago delendo est. So I always have to finish every one of my talks by saying, or come to close end by saying, I'm never going anywhere, I love this place. I always say, I am never going anywhere, I love South Africa. Anyway, so I caught Mark, so don't panic. Are you sent to signal to me that I must finish? Oh, no, okay. I'm getting it. So I caught Mark at the top of Polly Shorts, and I had to convince him that he's not going to win the race. I'm going to win the race. I'm going to summit Polly's first. He's fighting for second place, but it's a major challenge. So what you do is, I got in like 10 meters behind him, and I imagine he's live on television, and we're going, but you don't feel great going up Polly Shorts at that stage. And so what I had to do is make myself look as fresh and as strong and as full of running as possible. So what you do is first of all, you smooth your number out so there's no creases. You know, like the Tour de France cyclists before they cross the line. I've done a few cycle races, just speaking personally. I would never, ever let go of the handlebars of a bicycle for 1 second. I can't imagine the embarrassment of winning a stage of the Tour de France with blood because you fell off your bike while you were doing this. Anyway, you smooth out your number, and then you pull up your shorts. Now, in my day, we had those different shorts, the short shorts, remember Wimbledon, Bjorn Borg, Jimmy Connors, the budgie smugglers. So we pull up your shorts so that you show a lot of sinewy, biltongy leg. And the one thing about marathon runners that the Queen got wrong, we have fabulous legs. We've got every single muscle is defined. You can't believe you can do an anatomy lesson on the lower limb with a marathon runner. Every tendon is there. So you do that, and then you've got to comb your hair across the balding bits. Sadly now, as the balding lots. Ladies, I promise you, in the 1980s, I had long, flowing blonde hair. I was gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful, I promise you. Oh, Timotei ad, it was me. And I never put any water on my hair. So you smooth, and then finally, I got them. Finally, what you've got to do is you've got to drop those dark glasses. No, I can't see a thing. If I stagger off the end of the stage, will you tell me? If I get close to this. So now the dark glasses in the comrades serve no purpose whatsoever for keeping the sun out of your eyes. What they do is because the whole hill's in shadow, what they do is they help to give you the Darth Vader look, robot look. Okay, so now, and if you've got those reflective lenses, hopefully he sees reflected in your lenses his own pathetic, lifeless eyes looking back at himself. And then you go up alongside him, you pat him on the back as you catch him, you shake his hand, the commentators go, this is an amazing sporting gesture, but obviously, and then you go past him and you go into the lead, okay? And so I was able to show him that I was the natural leader and the winner of that race. And so I've got 2 last points that I have to do. I think one of the things that for me is the most important ingredient in being successful at anything is a word you cannot successfully translate from the Afrikaans, and that's the word vasbyt. It's the ability to hang in and keep on going and never, ever give up. And after that 1990, comrades, when I caught Mark at the top of Polly's, I had a moment to reflect, and the moment to reflect comes after the race. It's not like Formula One. You don't spray the second and third guys with champagne and they spray you with champagne. You get led off immediately to a drug testing room. Okay? And there you go, and you've got to produce a sample for the drug test, but you've just run comrades. So it actually takes hours and hours and hours to produce a sample because you have as much moisture in you as a piece of biltong, nothing. And eventually you produce a sample, and then you walk out and you've got rigor mortis on your legs, and you go all the way across to your club tent, and they lower you into a sitting position. Oh, the pain, and then saying, oh, you've got to get up because they've been feeding you water and orange juice for hours so you can have the sample. You've got to go back to the loo. And so, vasbyt and endurance, when I had the time to think about it, I thought what I did was I never gave up. I still thought I can catch him. And so I'd like to finish off with one last message. And that is, I was supposed to talk about from start to finish. That's my theme. That's the theme of your conference. I don't think there is a finish. That's my message. There isn't a finish. Because I think all of us are challenged to do more with what you've achieved. You've got here, but what else can you do? So it's great to say, I am here, but we can never be content. You have to say, what else is there? How else can I improve? How can I change people's lives for the better? How else can I be greater? What else can I do? And so for me, my running, sadly, there will not be a 10th win. Nas Botu, who I mentioned earlier, won 9 Currie Cups. And he lost the one that they should have won at Loftus against a pathetic team called the Sharks. The Sharks had never, ever won the Currie Cup, and they went to Loftus, and they won. And Nas said, Bruce, I should have won my 10th. And he said, there were 2 minutes to go, and I realized we're not going to win. The Sharks are going to win. They weren't even called the Sharks in those days. They were the Banana Boys in those days, and they won. And so I'm not going to win my 10th comrades. But for me, my next step has been a thing that I wish I was there right now called Park Run. 5Ks, free, timed run, or walk on a Saturday morning. 7 years ago, 26 people came to the first park run in Johannesburg at Delta Park. This morning I looked, we are 1.1 million members all over South Africa. That has become my passion. And so I just want to say to all of you, yeah, there is no finish line and there is no finish. I think you've got to say to yourself, what are you going to do to continue? And thank you so much for having me as your speaker. Thank you for last night. Where's Barry Hilton? I hate him. We danced together, I think. I think we're in love. But thank you so much. It's been a great honor. And from start to finish, just remember there actually isn't a finish line. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks, thanks.
Come on, let's clap hands for Bruce Fordyce once more again, ladies and gentlemen. I've got so many people to acknowledge. I'm going to acknowledge them as I go along. We have in our midst the president of OHASA, Ms. Angelique Kenny, if you can just stand up. We have in our midst Mr. David van Eck, Dental Technicians Council. We have in our midst Ms. Melanie, who is the chairperson of the Dental Traders Association of South Africa. We have Dr. Suvir Singh, MEXFAC Secretary. We have Dr. John Lancaster, who is the SASO President. Dr. Suzette Stander, SASPIO President. I've got lots of people. I'll go through some and then we will then come back to it. But let me welcome in our midst Prof. Yusuf Osman from UWC. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe I should stop here a little bit about Prof. Osman. Prof. Osman, can I ask you to stand up? Humbly so. Humbly so. Humbly so. You can stand there. Prof. Osman, as you can see, he's just half my age. And he's been working at UWC doing great work. At the moment, UWC produces more dentists in comparison to the other institutions in South Africa. So we thank you very much for swelling out the ranks of SADA. If you allow me, just as a word, in that we are aware that Dr. Yusuf Osman, Prof. Osman, will be actually retiring from his services. And we want to say, we recognize the work that you have done, and we want to say thank you and thank you and thank you and thank you so much. SADA, we would love to recognize you at some stage, but today I'm just announcing this. We're going to wait until you actually retire in case you change your mind. Thank you very much. Let me just finish with the next ones. We've got Mr. Holger Lehmann, German Traders Association. Mr. Alexander Salomon, German Embassy in Pretoria. He spoke last night. We've got Dr. Sudhir Ratiram, who is the president of the SADA KZN branch. We've got Dr. Bika, who is the president of the Young Dentist Council. We've got Dr. Nadim Osman, who is the Vice President of the South African Dental Association. Our President, who is Dr. Renier Pata, the chairperson of the board, is unfortunately on his way to the FDI Congress to represent us, and he is represented by Dr. Osman as the Deputy Board Chair. We have, as we have introduced earlier on, of course, Prof. Moiplai, who is the SADA President. Ladies and gentlemen, at this stage, I'm going to call upon the SADA President, Prof. Moiplai, to come upstage. I'm going to call the Head of Professional Development, Dr. Ntabiseng Metsing, to come upstage. We are about to give awards. How many of you are going to receive these awards? Lift up your hand. Okay, the President is going to receive an award. Lovely, okay. If you are not here, I will receive the award and I will keep it for myself. Ladies and gentlemen, every year, and I'm going to rush this because we don't have much time, we are running late, we are going to put everything on our website, so please go and read about the awards that we're going to present today. But every single year, the association recognizes people that are members of SADA, and even those that are not members of SADA, if they have shown to go beyond the call of duty and do something that their peers, their colleagues recognize. And I would like to also implore all of you that are here today and those that are not here, that start thinking of those people that you would like to recognize for next year. Now, I do know there's something called professional jealousy. And I know you won't laugh because it happens amongst us, and that is the truth. But I think when other people do greater work than they should be doing, we need to recognize them, and this is the platform that we have provided for them. Some of these people are the people that I'm going to call up on stage today. I would like to start with an award of the Traders Association. This is for the South African Traders Association. Every year, we recognize this award. It is an award that is voted upon, is nominated and voted upon by you as members of SADA, as dentists. And ladies and gentlemen, for this year, there were 3 nominees, and there's a reason why I mentioned them. There were 3 nominees for this award. Wright Milners, KZN Dental is from KZN, Dental Care Mayo Brace. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this award is Wright Milners. Please come up on stage.
I would just like to thank all our customers. Without this, this wouldn't be possible. We get up every morning to serve you guys, and it's nice to get recognized for the hard work behind the scenes. Thank you very, very much. If you heard that.
Did we hear that? The second award is the SADA Dental Industry Innovation Award. This is in recognition of pioneers in business who develop new products that have been brought to the market and demonstrably empowered oral health professionals to advance the health and well-being of South Africans. Those that were nominated by our members are Dental Care for Mayo Brace, Magnificent in Linesia, Dent Supply Sirona. The winner of this award is Dent Supply Sirona. Face that way for the picture.
I'd like to thank SADA for this award. Thank you very much for the dental professionals. And thank you for obviously appreciating the innovation that we as a company has brought to the industry, and we're looking forward for new developments in the future, and we thank you.
So when I call you up on stage, you go and receive your award, you stand on a line that is next to me, you face that side, you smile, show your teeth. We are dentists, we are oral health providers, take a picture, then you come back and say thank yous. The third award that I would like to announce today, ladies and gentlemen, it is what we call the SADA Young Researchers Award. We've got this for 2018. We have already spoken about it in 2018, but the member was not available, and this was just due to a technical issue, and we've asked that he comes here. So I'm going to start with 2018, Dr. P. Gopi.
Good morning. I'm extremely happy and honored to be the recipient of this award. I would like to thank my parents for their continuous love and support, Professor Ricotso, who has been my mentor, for his guidance, and everyone who has believed in me and always encouraged me in all my endeavors. And last but not least, the South African Dental Association for having given me the opportunity to publish my research in the Dental Journal. Thank you.
The winner for the SADA Research Award 2019, and I would like to give an opportunity to one of the judges to announce this one. Can you just quickly nominate someone? Okay, Prof. Berry, you've been nominated. Thank you. I want you to also tell us why, just in one sentence.
Well, I can actually show you if I toss a coin how we had interesting posters, enthusiastic presenters. It actually becomes very difficult to decide who's actually won this thing. And they were very different, but they were all good. And it's actually hard. You don't want to say, but hold on, someone doesn't get it. And we were unanimous in our decision in the final analysis. And you can announce it.
I can do it. Thank you. The winner for 2019 is, wait for it, Dr. Priyesh Hira. Are you here?
Morning, everyone. I'd first like to say thank you to Almighty God for this opportunity. Thank you to SADA for this recognition. Thank you to my family, my fiance for all the support. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Last but not least, I'd like to thank my co-author, Prof. Ricotso, who unfortunately isn't here, for his guidance and assistance. Thank you.
I think I need to meet Prof. Ricotso because I want to win this award as well. It looks like everyone that has gone through him wins the award. Is there some biasness there, profs?